to order, please. If we please stand for the prayer and pledge. Ms. Carolyn, would you please pray for us?
Dear kind and gracious Heavenly Father God, we thank you for tonight. Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day. Lord, we thank you for all the ways that you bless us. Lord, and I thank you for the people in this room, and I thank you for these students. Thank you for their accomplishments, Lord, and I pray that you'll continue to bless them. Lord, I pray for all of our students that you keep them safe over the summer and bless them and their families. Lord, I pray for our faculty and staff. And last but not least, I pray for our board members and Dr. Morgan, that you would bless them and give them wisdom and knowledge, Lord, to lead them to the right decisions. And we ask all of this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And now I'll turn it to the superintendent for her update.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I love to see a boardroom full because that means we have some great accomplishments to recognize. We had an outstanding spring season, both with our sports and with our academics, and we're going to be recognizing both tonight. So I'm going to ask Dr. Haney if she will come forward, and I believe she has some state technology winners to update us on.
And I am so excited tonight to do this. So each year we have sent people to the regional tech fair competition and are fortunate enough, actually a lot of some of those, I see some faces in here from high school even that have been there with us before. And this year we had 2 state winners. So very excited about that. So I would like, first of all, we're going to have Aunt Allie Taylor, if Allie will come up, and I'm going to let her demonstrate her project so that you can see a little bit about what they did. I am very, very impressed, and Allie goes to Hoboken Elementary.
Just need the microphone.
Yes. And tell you a little bit about Miss Allie, her project, and she's going to tell you a little bit more, but it was in 3D modeling, and she won first place in the state technology competition.
I decided to make a 3D model tree, and this was the first attempt of it. And it was on the 3D printer. It was unsecure on the platform, and I made it was sliding around, but it was overnight printing, and the printer was left on, and it started sliding around on the platform while it was still printing. So we ended up with this. And the second time, we started printing it earlier in the day, and we got like to where this was already printed, and we taped it onto the platform, and then we let it print overnight again, and it ended up when we were cutting off the scaffolding, it started to break into toothpicks, and I went home that day and I got on our home computer, this phone book right here, and I started to make my own design tree. I used a pre-made stump on this attempt, and it was way too thin for the printer. And I made an actual platform on this one, and I made sure that it was secure on the platform while it was printing. And I made a thicker stump and leaves, and I watched an actual tutorial video, and I didn't copy it exactly, but I did take some tips off of it, and I got a successful build.
So Allie, I have a question. Did you say you made the base on the 3D printer as well? You printed that, programmed it, printed it out as well? Great job.
Allie, do you mind showing our audience your tree?
Thank you, Allie. I'm impressed.
So a couple of key terms told you, one of the things that we love about our technology program, and we have this with our kindergartners all the way up to 12th grade, and part of our purpose for this, as the board knows, is we want to build knowledge in students about what careers they have out there in the STEM career fields. And with that, we also want them to be independent learners. So you heard her say she went home, she looked up programs, because a lot of times in these programs, even our teachers may not have the direct answer for what the problem is, because it's different individual projects. So we want them to be individualized learners so they can go in and do just what they would do on the job, which is if I have a problem, I seek out a solution to it, and that's what she did. So thank you, Ms. Allie, for your All right, and our next young man is Cannon Hartman. Mr. Cannon, you will come up. And he is going to tell you about his project. He was in graphic design, and he won 3rd place in the state technology competition in his category. And this is his poster style. Kind of show that to everybody. So we've got some talent here. I think you may need to do some projects for us here at the school board. You'll tell them about your project.
So the reason why I decided to do this project was because I am autistic myself, and I picked this subject autism because I wanted autistic people to be known about and understood.
So you designed the poster. It's very colorful, I like it. What were you wanting to make sure was emphasized in the poster?
That autistic people are welcome to be different and they should be known
That's right, and celebrated, right? You did a great job. We love her.
So we, along with our technology competition, we have a lot of other students here tonight, and we wanted to emphasize some of our academics. So we also have our mathematics tournament. And Coach Aaron Beck, would you come up and tell us a little bit about how this got started and a little bit about the mathematics tournament?
As a former math teacher, this might be one of my favorite teams in the school system.
So our math team every year competes at SGSC, which is the College in Waycross, and every year we put together usually anywhere between 4 to 6 teams that we submit that will compete. And at the competition, there are a lot of schools around in our RESA that also compete there, including Pierce, Ware, sometimes Charlton, sometimes Camden, and other schools. Well, this year, it was sort of a last-minute thing where we didn't really have all that much time to practice, mainly because I was busy wrapping up other things. But the kids came out and they competed and actually did very well. We had a team place 4th. On that team, we had Luke Carter. So Luke, if you'd like to come up. Ben Smith and Maggie Devine. It also had Dalton Kuhn, who was not able to make it tonight because he is on a vacation. But these were 3 of the 4 that were there. And I wanted to say that I was very proud of the kids for getting 4th, especially with the last minute get together with it, which just goes to show you how good our school system is, as well as our students' academic ability. At the competition, we also had the highest score out of the entire competition, which was Mr. Luke Carter. So I'd like to give these kids a round of applause.
Thank you. Proud of you guys. And if we can get Allie and Cannon to come back up here. I got so excited about your projects, I forgot to give you your certificate. So we want to get a picture with you with your certificate today.
And you want to get this one too, since you get it
Absolutely.
technology?
We'll get right here, guys. And next, we want to recognize Miss Reagan Bowers. If you will come up, Miss Reagan, and Susan Thomas. And Miss Susan, I think, Coach.
And I just want to say just a quick thing about Miss Susan. Miss Susan is our girls varsity basketball coach, and the improvements they made from last year to this year were unreal. I'm sure a large part of it has to do with the young lady sitting up here, but Coach Susan did an amazing job with our girls, and the longer they played into the season, the better they got. And we were just very proud of Coach Thomas and her girls. But I'd like to give Coach Thomas a round of applause.
Right, so, and yes, Reagan was a huge part of that. She's a leader, and she led well, all season long, and, I'd already made mention at their banquet that, like, the leadership we had carries on, like, it doesn't just, like, sit at that season, like, the leadership that she had and what she left, and just the example she was, and the expectations that she had on her teammates, like, that's carrying over. And I messaged them the other night and told them I'm seeing the effects of our seniors already in our summer work already, because they're just, the girls are out there, we're playing with more intensity, we're practicing more intensity. So just, I want to commend her on her leadership and what she's leaving and how the girls are picking up because of that example. Reagan was named 3AA Region Player of the Year, which is awesome. And she was actually nominated, before it got around to me, she was nominated by another coach out of the county. So that in and of itself is, it wasn't just Coach Thomas that recognized her asset to our program and to the team, but coaches from all our region. So she was nominated for that outside of Coach Thomas, which is just huge, and I just wanted to mention that. Not only that, she was named South AA All-State Girls, which there were 12 girls named on that team. So she's one of the 12 in South Georgia that got put on that team, which is an awesome feat. Like I said, everybody recognized what she brought to the table, and it was huge. Reagan led our team in averaging 10 points a game. She averaged just like right at 5.5 rebounds a game, and she had our highest free throw percentage. And those are all offensive stats, and that's what was wrote in the newspaper. But Reagan also, like, when we needed a stop, Reagan was the one getting back, or one of the many ones getting back. She made so many like defensive stops where I was just like, oh, we're fixing to give up 2 easy points. She gets back, she blocks the ball, or she stops that wide open layup, and that was huge. Just those things that she did on both sides of the ball. So Reagan, very well deserved, and it has been an absolute honor to be your coach. I love you.
And our next person that I'm going to call up here is Memorial Satilla Health's newest surgical robot has a new name, the Feel Better Bot. The hospital recently held a ceremony to announce the name, and community members were able to participate in a guided demonstration of the new system during the event. The surgery robot's name was chosen from a submission received from nearly 1,000 third graders in Ware, Pierce, and Brantley counties. The naming competition was held last month, and Miss Elsie Middleton, a student of ours from the Hunter Primary School, submitted the winning name. So as you can see, she colored in her robot and named the robot, and she was chosen from over 1,000 students for hers. Elsie, can you tell them what you named the robot at the hospital?
The Feel Better Bot.
The Feel Better Bot. All right. And do I understand correctly, you were able to go to the hospital and use the robot? What was that like?
It was cool.
Were there doctors and nurses watching? Do you think you want to be a surgeon one day, or are you going with something else?
I'm gonna start with teaching.
Oh, we like that too.
I'm gonna be the president.
Teacher, doctor, and president. Teacher, doctor, and president. All right. We'll take it. We'll take it, Elsie. Thank you. All right, let's get our picture.
Coach Steve isn't here today, but I know we've got a couple of our coaches, or at least Coach Larcy. Coach Larcy, could you come up, please? Coach Larcy, Coach Steve, and Coach Teachworth were our girls and boys tennis team coaches. You know how our tennis program is. They've done phenomenal. I think our girls, Coach, you could probably elaborate a little bit more than I can, but I know our girls have been in the Final Four the last 2 years. And then our boys were state runner-ups last year and Final Four this year. Both region player of the years came off of our two teams, our girls and our boys team. And but I don't know, Coach, you want to say a few words about them?
I'm gonna get Coach Steve. I didn't speak, but real quick, and you spoke on it a little bit, Dr. Todd, but our tennis team has been pretty successful over quite a few years now. I know when I was in high school, I was able to be a part of that. I think it might get looked at as, oh, the tennis team just went to another Elite Eight or another Final Four, but every single year it's because we have kids working in the summer. We have kids playing against each other. We have parents that are heavily involved that are getting these kids playing in, I'm going to say this wrong, Mr. John, is it JJC, or there's a junior tennis program that's going around and kids are getting involved in that. And it's not just because, oh, Brantley dominates the South, just because it's because of the hard work that these kids have put in. I appreciate each and every one of them. I know I have a lot missing. And I'm not sure all of them came, so if we just want to have all tennis players, boys and girls, come up.
Can we do the girls first real quick, Coach?
Yeah.
I can do the girls real quick. Let me make sure I do it all. All right, just, even if they're not here, we'd like to make sure that we say their names. But Emma Jacobs, Chastity Waldron, Brooklyn Wilds, Summer Collins. Yeah, and Summer, Brooklyn was also our region player of the year. Summer, Collins, Rayleigh Strickland. We got 2 of them. Can we give these girls a big round of Chloe Carroll, Kaylee Oakley, J.C. Riggins, good job, girls. And now for our boys tennis team members: Garrison Chester, Gavin Baxlin, Charlie Bacon, Ben Smith. Ben was also our region player of the year for boys. Bryson Alligood, Color Strickland, Tucker Oakwind, Patrick Oakwind, Rowan Davis, Dalton Howell, Jet Flory, J.C. Chapman, Ryan Saunders, and Yo Patel. Can we give these boys a big round of applause?
So just one more time, we had a lot of students here tonight, and just wanted to thank you for parents as well. I know that there are a lot of practices and a lot of late nights that go into these projects and in sports and the different things that you do with your children, so we want to thank you as well. and just appreciate our coaches.
We will take a 2-minute break. For those that wish to go home, you may go home and finish up supper or family time, but you're more than welcome to stay for the meeting afterwards. Thank you for all coming tonight. I will call this meeting back to order, please.
Yes, ma'am, I will continue the superintendent's update by going over the budget hearing. So, you know me, if I'm gonna do the presentation, I've got to stand up here beside it. Mr. Allen, if I do that, will they still be able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
First slide. Okay, so it's time for our first budget review, budget hearing. And we'll go over the budget tonight, and then again on June 22nd at our call board meeting will be our final budget hearing and vote. So we'd like to begin by talking about how much money we get in both our QBE, Quality Basic Education Act, that's the formula that they use to decide how much money to send to the 180 school systems. So anyway, QBE and equalization, when we get to the state this year, is $27,786,076. I like to include how much QBE money we've gotten in the past fiscal years, the past 5 up here. And you might notice that the number last year was actually a little bit higher than what the money we're getting from the state this year. That is because we had a decrease in the equalization money. And I'm going to show you those numbers in just a few minutes. Last year, we had a reappraisal on property wealth, and that caused us to move a little bit. We were ranked, so therefore we are not going to draw in as much equalization money this year. That wasn't the sole reason. We've also, thankfully, been able to come down on the millage rate a little bit over the last few years, and we're also down just a little bit in our FTE. You can see up here that last year's was $28,280,000. Now the budget, believe it or not, in some pieces of the QBE, they sent us more money. It just didn't equal the loss. The loss in the equalization was greater. So as far as local effort, we've been pretty much, even though the budget's gone up every year, we've been able to keep it pretty much between the 4.7 and 5.2 local effort. All right, next slide. Okay, talking about that just a little bit, that local effort. Depending on where you live in Georgia, what your zip code is, that percentage of the local effort of the whole budget can look a lot different in other places. Here in Franklin County, you can see way back in FY16, our property taxes was about 19% of our local budget. But because we've tried to keep that number steady and lower the millage rate, even as property values went up, and yet the overall budget was going up, meaning if we weren't getting more tax money, it must have been the state was sending us more money, which they have, because there's been raises and other requirements through the years, just like this health insurance spike this year. They're gonna send you the money for those employees that you earn. So anyway, as that's gone up, we've still been able to keep it decrease and then keep steady the local effort. So I want to thank the board for this. They work diligently with us to maintain our budget and our spending so that we can balance it. We can get our kids what we need, but we're not hiking the millage rate or taxes up either. Okay, next. All right, this is actually on the state DOE website that you can go to, and any county you want to type in, they will print out this graph to show you the percentage of the budget. You might say, well, Dr. Morgan, those numbers look a little bit different than what you just showed us with the percentage. The numbers I was showing you was just our general budget and our property taxes, our state revenue and our property taxes. This includes the federal money as well. So it's got your state money, your federal money, like your Title I money, Title V money, and then it's got the property taxes. So for the state of Georgia as a whole, if they did the average of all 180 school systems, they're saying that out of the total budget, the state would be about 40% of the budget money spent, federal would be about 16%, and local would be about 43%, 43.6% of the budget. You come over here to Brantley, our state proportion is about 61.9%, federal's 20%, and local is 17%. So then, on the bottom here, I took a lot of counties that's in our RESA. I also looked at counties that maybe we played them in our region, so therefore they have about the same number of kids as us. And then just for fun, I put a couple of counties down there that get a lot of money locally, and let you see that their percentage of local property money might be as high as 57% or 62.8% of the budget. Is there any comments or questions on those comparisons? Okay, next slide. Let's talk about what numbers make up the revenue of the budget. Well, the QBE money, this equalization money is inside that QBE money, so it's not additional $5 million, but of the $27 million, the $5 million is the equalization money. Our projected property tax, other local taxes like the TABT money, timber money, there's some other taxes that when we add them together, it's about $1.2 million. And then this year, we will be using 1.2 out of the reserves. So the projected revenue is $35,315,208. Next slide. What are the increases to the budget? The main increases are going to be the $2,000 that the governor's given to all certified employees. And then the pay increase, when we do something for certified employees, or when the governor does, we make every effort to do something for all employees. Now, I must say, the whole time that I've been sitting in this seat, sometimes I call it the hot seat, but anyway, the whole time I've been sitting in this seat, the board has worked diligently with me, with the finance department, to make sure that if we're able to do it for one group, we're able to give raises to the whole group. So that is exciting to know that in this budget, there are going to be pay scale increases for all. And the other big chunk of increase was the increased health care costs. Now again, the state's going to send you money
got second. You got second place to that young lady who was president.
Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. She did so well.
That was good, but you couldn't say.
Yeah.
Is that it for all your other?
I have one more presentation that I meant to do in the front of our audience, so it might make me get on board and second person. Yes. But anyway, I forgot to give our board their certificates for their recent training. And I do want to say, our board is always willing to participate in the Georgia School Board Association or the GLA trainings, and thankfully, because of their additional training, we've been able to get the exemplary board award status before, and we have now qualified for that status again. So when we go to December to Atlanta, we will be recognized that. So thank you for all you do. Ms. Kathy? Mr. Meyer? Lisa? Got Mr. Cliff Adams, Mr. David.
Could you get everybody to stand up there, please?
I think we can. Come on, guys. For Mr. Cliff, but he's got a picture on the website.
Gotta bring your certificate.
I would get it.
We're gonna crop him in.
Should I photocopy it? Yeah, you just crop this dead in for us.
Don't get close together.
Oh, we all face this way.
I think we need to face this way. You better get friendlier.
Certificates, so I can
I want me to face this way, okay. At least your nose is not my behind.
turn your certificate like everybody else's. Thank you. Now everybody look this way and smile big. One more time. Thank you.
Don't let her have a third.
Thank you for your update. Is there any further participation? Hearing and seeing none, we will move right along. We're going to move on to the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt the agenda?
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion to adopt.
Thank you. Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
And Teresa votes yes, passes. Deposition of the minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Hearing none, do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes. Monthly financial report. Do I have a motion to approve those reports?
I'll make a motion to approve the financial report.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
And for the discussion, we've got it printed out here, and we can get to it on your screen, but these are the ones because of us having the work session early.
Correct.
So if you want to take a few minutes and look at those. And if you see anything later as well that you have a question about, you can let us know.
Everybody good? Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes. Passes. Okay. I get to read my splost.
Yes.
The local support from the community was $154,351.69, and then collected on car tags, and that's cars that were purchased, and it's the birthday tax, correct?
Used to be, it's the sales of cars.
It's the sales, okay. Well, it was $62,749.88 for a grand total of $217,101.57. Support local, even your Walmart online orders count towards our supply, so y'all keep that in mind. Thank you. All right, now we're gonna move on to the agenda items.
Yes, ma'am, thank you. I want to begin with our, policy review that we've been doing. I recommend to approve the board policies review of section G as presented.
Okay, you hear the superintendent's recommendation, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve section G.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, just to, remind the stakeholders, we've been working with the Georgia School Board Association to update our policies. We have a legal assistant that works for GSBA that reviews sections of our policies at a time and makes recommendations to the board, and we, review the recommendations and then make a decision whether or not to adopt. So we're, I think we only have one more group after this.
Anything else? Hearing none, Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the FY '24 contract services for special education as presented.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the superintendent's recommendation for contract services.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, these contract services will include behavior consultants, our physical therapy services, our visual impairment services, and then speech and language services.
Any other discussions? Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the purchase of a vehicle for Brantley County Schools as presented with the cost not to exceed $65,000.
Okay. We hear the recommendation of the superintendent, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the purchase of the vehicle.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, this vehicle will be funded by our ESSER 3 Homeless Children and Youth Grant. Let's see, that grant is going to pay for $53,419 of that up to $65,000 as we're looking for a vehicle.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the Title I carryover budget of $1,577. Hang on, just, let me see the number there.
There we go, second page.
Yes, it is $1,577,105. And then the, Title V carryover budget of $101,383 as presented.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for both of the carryover budgets recommended by the superintendent.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. For the Title I carryover budget, that's going to address our employer, our health insurance employer contributions. And for the FY '23 Title V carryover budget, that's going to be Chromebooks for our schools.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, carries.
I recommend to approve the bid of not to exceed $12,948.29 for the installation of the partition wall and doors by Doverly Glass Shop for Miss Lynette Moore's classroom at Franklin County Middle School.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for the installation of the interior glass partition.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. This is a large classroom that we're going to separate into 2 learning areas so that we can actually have 2 different classes in that large classroom, 2 different smaller classes.
Any other discussion? Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the ESSER 3 REI Technology Grant budget as presented.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the ESSER 3 technology grant.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, this grant, includes computer monitors and other technology equipment such as, desktop computers, laptops, and Chromebook carts.
Hearing no other discussion, Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the purchase of a GPS paint robot for $56,000 from Turf Tank.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the GPS paint robot.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. When they were doing the analysis of how much labor and paint that this purchase would save us in the course of a year from painting our athletic fields, it was going to be a difference of 106 less labor hours and up to 1,331 gallons less paint. So just for the paint cost per year, we should save a little over $13,000 in paint.
And this is coming from the East Block. We'll pay for this. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Any other discussions? Hearing none. Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the GSBA Risk Management Services renewal as presented.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the GSBA risk management services as presented by the superintendent.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, we have been very happy with the services that we've gotten from GSBA. Dr. Brantley, our representative that works with us, very helpful. And when we have had need or claims, they've come through every time we manner.
Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the purchase of 4 interactive panels from Kinetic Technologies for placement in the new pre-K building for $7,016.
Okay. We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to purchase 4 interactive panels for the new pre-K.
Good. Thank you. Second, please.
I'll second.
Mr. David, okay, thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am, we're excited. We've been told that that building will be here in a few weeks. And so we'll have these boards ordered and get them installed as soon as it gets here.
Good. Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the bid of $13,595.48 from United Refrigeration to replace the HVAC units in the Brantley County Middle School cafeteria, freezer, and cooler.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to replace the HVAC units, freezer and cooler in the Trenton County Middle School as recommended by the superintendent.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay. Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
Okay, for the next one, this is gonna be the proposed budget. So once we vote on this proposed budget, then we will advertise it in the paper and on our website.
What time?
One more time. Right. I recommend to approve the FY4 tentative proposed budget of $35,315,208 as presented.
I'll make a motion to accept the FY24 budget.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Done a beautiful job already. So if here are no other discussions, Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the subscription renewal for GSBA Assembly for $9,000.
We hear the recommendation for the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to accept the GSBA Assembly subscription renewal.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion?
Yes, ma'am, we've been happy with the services. We've long time used it for policies, but now we're using it for our meetings as well.
Okay. Ms. Kathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, carries. now we are to community executive session for personnel. Yes, ma'am. May I have a motion for executive session for personnel only, please?
Make a motion to go to personnel.
Thank you. May I have a second? I'll second. Thank you. Ms. Kathy? Yes. Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. Davis?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes.
It's slow.
We'll be back.
Gonna do it.
We are out of executive session at 8:08 with no action taken. Do I have a motion to come out of executive session?
I'll make a motion to come out of the.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike? Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes.
I'd like to ask the board to accept the following resignations. Alyssa Harper, Sutton Kemp, Carla Chesser, Jenna Bass, Cameron Moore, and Courtney Parsons.
Here are the recommendations. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion for resignation.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes.
I'd like to ask the board to accept the following recommendations for hire. Sarah Miller, 6th grade social studies teacher at AES. Georgia Herndon, paraprofessional at Atkinson Elementary School. Jamie Watkins, 2nd grade teacher at Nahunta Primary School. Marjorie Edgy, paraprofessional at Nahunta Elementary School. Jamie Saunders, custodian at Brantley County Middle School. Molly Woodard, special education teacher at Brantley County High School. Elijah Cardwell, custodian at Brantley County High School. Shelby Cox, student success coach at Brantley County High School and Brantley County Middle School. Carter Lynn Teaksworth, school psychologist. Lindsay Lee, occupational therapist.
We hear the superintendent's recommendations. Do I have a motion, please?
Make a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendations for hire.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes.
I recommend to approve the athletic addendum as presented. Loretta Tanner, Brantley County Middle School boys cross country coach.
You hear the recommendation of the superintendent. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes.
That concludes the personnel recommendations. Now I'm going to go to number 20, our last two action items for the pay scales and the addendums. So I recommend to approve the FY24 pay scales as presented.
We hear the superintendent's recommendation. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the FY24 pay scales as presented by the superintendent.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Any discussion? None? Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes, passes.
I recommend to approve the FY24 addendums as presented.
We hear the recommendation of the superintendent. Do I have a motion, please?
I'll make a motion for the acceptance of the FY24 addendums as presented by the superintendent.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes. Any other items or discussion, board?
I'd like to make a motion to renew the superintendent's contract beginning July the 1st for 3 years as presented.
We have a motion. May I have a second, please?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes.
And Mr. Cliff wanted me to say that he was in full support of that.
He was. We are very honored to have who we have sitting up here beside us. She does a phenomenal job running our school system with such pride and dignity that we are honored to say, where are you from? Brantley County. We've got a beautiful, beautiful team here with our staff and with the board up here and with Dr. Morgan, so we're very blessed. Anything else?
I'd just like to say thank you. It's an honor to serve.
Thank you. If not hearing any more, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. Ms. Cathy?
Yes.
Mr. Mike?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Teresa votes yes.
You don't
Thank
get
you.
to. You already.